things are going great on the recruiting front, but even Jimmy and I didn't know things were going great on the basketball recruiting front.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I'll tell you about FanDuel in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. Jimmy, recruiting going really, really well for football and for basketball, apparently. We'll talk about the basketball one in the third segment. But football-wise, there was some really good news that sort of came out of left field. J.J. Finch, yes, that one, the defensive lineman. Everybody's been clamoring for defensive linemen. Where are they? Why haven't they committed? Why can't we get J.J. Finch? He seems to love Alabama. It looks like he's going to LSU. Well, he got bombed right to Alabama just yesterday, and it was a bit of a pleasant surprise for the weekend.
Yeah, I think the timing of it, I think he had like a Miami visit coming up. And I think with J.J. Finch, what's just a little surprising, you already mentioned LSU. I think if you asked me, 3 months ago, what's going to happen with Finch, I would have guessed LSU. And I sort of guessed LSU throughout, in part because they really like him. And secondly, because he's got a teammate, Damian Shanklin, that heavily considered Alabama a year ago that chose LSU. So he's got kind of a defensive line teammate down there. And it just made for like, okay, well, this is probably going to happen to LSU, right? But he just likes Alabama, and Alabama's liked him. I know one thing about J.J. Finch that's a little concerning is his recruiting ranking, and I get that. I'm a recruiting ranking guy too. A couple things to remember, though. Number one, we're basically halfway to getting the recruiting rankings right. They are still in the process. It's still fluid. It's still an evaluation all the way through February. So where he's ranked today is not where he's going to be ranked in the final rankings, and it's all that matters. Keep this in mind. I read a great NFL draft thing by Matt Miller and Jordan Reed yesterday, breaking down next year's NFL draft, and it's great and it's fun. But these guys haven't even played junior and senior seasons coming up. It's not like the NFL is going to go, we don't need to see that. We're ready to deliver a final verdict today. We don't need to see another season of football from these guys. That's exactly why people make too big a deal of recruiting rankings until senior seasons. They haven't even played their senior season yet. So don't make too much of that. But another point about J.J. Finch's recruiting rankings is this. Who wants him? LSU wants him. They recruit extremely well, especially that position. Michigan wants him. Another team good at the line of scrimmage. Tennessee wants him. He's just getting back from Miami. I mean, why do we think that, this guy's only a 3-star? Look who wants him. Look who wants him. That's who we should be concerned about. Who shares Alabama's opinion that this guy's really good? LSU, Michigan, Tennessee, Miami. So I'm excited about J.J. Finch. Also, keep in mind some of his listed sizes are a little wrong. J.J. Finch is 280 pounds today, 280 today. So he's an interior defensive tackle. And I'm not comparing him to James Smith. I'm just saying he's going to play the same position James Smith plays at a little over 300. And J.J. Finch will probably get up to that size, eventually in a year or two. I think he's an interior pass rusher. Those are so valuable. So let's see. Fong bombed him. Tim Watson, Andrew Bone followed with predictions to Alabama. Y'all know the batting average when that happens. So it's something we rely on here, in terms of like, hey, we feel really good that that's likely to happen. So that will be the third defensive lineman in this class. J.J. Finch joining Mari Johnson from Muscle Shoals, and Jamarian Matthews, who's going to play the Bama position, who's a very highly rated guy. Still good news to come at this position, Luke. Tristan Davis still out there. Every reason to feel confident there. Nolan Wilson, top 100 player from Mississippi, still out there. I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but that's a
lot. Look, that's already more than we're going to get.
Probably. I mean, 5 is a big group on the defensive line because there's only 3 positions. There's only 3 positions. How many can you sign in one? Six is sort of an outrageous number when you only have 3 positions to fill. But right now it's looking like 5 easy for the defensive line group when it's said and done.
Well,
Tank Jones still out there, who's a bandit also, and we'll talk about Tank Jones and CD Morgan and Xavier Crowell in a minute.
So a couple of things. He hadn't even gotten his Bama bump yet. That's another thing.
Yeah, that's coming.
And again, it's coming because it's warranted. It's not
Right.
coming because he's going to Alabama. I said this a million times. One of the earliest years I got involved in recruiting, I want to say it was like 1988. Sports Illustrated came out with their college football annual or whatever. At the time, it was just a regular magazine that had more college football stuff in it. And I remember they're saying they had 5 schools that had dropped off in recruiting, and one of them was Notre Dame. And it said, this really isn't fair because if you're being recruited by Notre Dame, you're probably pretty good. All we're saying is Notre Dame has not signed as many good players recently, highly rated players. And that's, if Alabama's recruiting you, you're pretty good. It's not like they're recruiting anybody that can't play. And also, like you said, JJ Finch is, I'll give On Three some credit. I don't know where people saw he was lighter than this, but they've got him at 263, 278. It's a good size. That's a really good size for a defensive lineman. And he's got a grown man kind of Dawson's Creek looking beard going on, which I dig. And I think that makes you look more intimidating, considering he's got to play one more year of high school football.
I think a decent Alabama comp for him, by the way, is Jeremiah Beamon. I mean, when I watch his tape, I mean, he sort of reminds me of what Beamon looked like in high school. Now Beamon's in year 2 at Alabama and on the cusp of becoming a regular player in the rotation. I think like Beamon, sort of built like him to me at the same age. Now Beamon's a 300-pound guy. And at the same age, you're built sort of similar. In fact, Finch might be a little heavier today than Beamon was at the time in June of before his senior year. So they're very similar to me. I'm excited about, hey, anytime you can get an interior pass rusher, those are hard to find. It's, believe it or not, it's easier to find the Tim Keenan types. They're just not all good, because when you sign a player that heavy, boy, that can go in a bad direction. It's harder to find these athletic interior defensive linemen who can rush the passer. And that's what stands out about Finch.
I know this means absolutely nothing in real life, but the ratings for the college football players for the new college football video game came out, and I think Ryan Williams was either ranked 4th or 5th or maybe tied for 3rd, something like that. He had an overall ranking of something like 95. Jeremiah Smith had one at 98, which was the highest. And they had Tim Keenan. Caden Proctor was next. And I think Tim Keenan may have been next on Alabama's list of kids who are rated, 1 to 100 for that video game. And I thought that was kind of interesting. That tells me they're sort of doing their homework, because they know that guy's pretty good, even though his stats aren't eye-popping.
Keenan could end up a day 2 pick, which I'll admit, it's surprised me. If you told me that 2 years ago, I just never would have believed. I'm not sure I'd have believed it a year ago.
I'd be like, what draft?
Yeah, but now today, I mean, it's kind of looking like day 2 for him. And keep in mind, that's about as high as you can go for an interior run-stuffing defensive tackle, because Tim Keenan's not a pass rusher, and the NFL is all about the pass rush, in that front 7.
Okay, so JJ Finch will commit on June 23rd now, right?
Yeah, Sunday.
So, I mean, wait a minute.
Sunday.
No, that's Monday.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I believe JJ Finch is committing Sunday.
Okay, I thought it was June 23rd, so I will confirm that.
I'm almost certain it's going to be.
I'm doing a live read.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that's the case.
Okay, well, I hope it is Sunday, because then you have some other fun stuff to look forward to the rest of the week.
A lot of announcements this week.
You got Crowell is going to be committing on the 26th.
I just know it's this week, and optimistic, but whenever you're talking about a kid as rated as high as he is, there's a lot of rev share and NIL involved, and the deal has to get done. So this is what I would tell everyone: be optimistic and nervous, because that's how good the kid is.
By the way, you're right. It is Sunday, which I'm down with that. I'm happy about that.
Oh yeah, we will be here talking about it tomorrow, and hopefully it's Alabama, as Fong and Tim and Bone have predicted, and they're usually, if not almost always, right.
They're not all always wrong. If they're all always on something, I feel like that's going to happen. They're not all going to be wrong at the same time, right?
Probably not. I'm sure it's happened. I mean, but it's so rare. It's kind of hard to even come up with one. There, I just know since I used to work over there how the predictions work. They're very conservative with it because they want to be right, which I appreciate. They don't want to be first. They want to be right. That's the way to do it. I mean, I know some people go, "Hey, tell us right now, where is where's Elijah Haven, the 2027 top quarterback, going to go? From Baton Rouge." I mean, I could guess, but I would spend my guess would take a minute long because I would spend 50 seconds reiterating that I'm guessing. But they like to get it right. And yeah, when they're all in accordance, they probably all have a similar source.
Going to talk a little FanDuel now because it's awesome. It's awesome. You want to play it. And speaking of things that are on Sunday, the NBA Finals, the final game of the NBA Finals, it's going to decide it all Sunday night. And so you want to be on FanDuel. The NBA playoffs, they're in full swing. Well, the swing's about to stop. And every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. The Major League Baseball season also heating up, although in my opinion, the season doesn't heat up until it's over. And every game brings clutch hits, standout pitching, and unforgettable moments. From walk-off homers to no-hitters in the making, there's no shortage of drama on the diamond, and no better time to get in on that action as well. Look, if you're new to FanDuel, and you probably aren't because we've been telling you to join it for a while, so you're probably not new, but that's okay. But if you are, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. That's $200 in bonus bets. All you got to do is win one $5 bet. It's that simple. Make every moment more with FanDuel, which is the official sports betting partner of Jimmy, you can tell them.
Major League Baseball.
It's NBA, but you're not far off.
Well, we're talking about baseball.
Kind of.
Both. Actually, both. Major League Baseball and the NBA is a big deal in there. Do you know that a lot of professional gamblers say that a lot of professional sports gamblers prefer or think baseball's a bigger money making thing for them? It's not easier to predict. I'm not sure which is the way to put it. But anyway, a lot of professional sports gamblers, they focus on baseball. Are you having a connection issue? Having a connection issue, I think. I can't hear you. It's a connection issue. I see you. I can't hear you. It might be me.
All right, now can you hear me?
Yes.
I had unmuted and then I muted and muted back. So We'll just leave that in there. It sounds just like us. All right. So
they love the mute. They love the muter. But anyway,
they do love that
roster countdown stuff.
No.
Well,
we
sticking to recruiting.
Some EJ Crowell. You got to tell me some.
Oh well, I just want to reiterate. I mean, they're all on campus, right? I mean, I can't emphasize enough how important EJ Crowell, CD Morgan, and Tank Jones are to this class. I mean, to me, that they are the class, the backbone of it, the potential stars of it. They are high priority players that Alabama has worked extremely hard. And as of this weekend, there is reason for optimism here. There is reason for optimism on all three. I would project, if we're doing a class guess, and that's what it is, a class guess, I would include all three. Now, here's the deal, though. This is the official visit weekend. They have announcements coming up. Crowell does. Morgan does. It's thought that Tank Jones is going to announce sometime this summer. I don't think he's got a date yet. But this is the weekend where I hate putting it in such NFL terms, but the deal gets done. And until the deal is done, You don't know. It's kind of like that, almost like the Aaron Rodgers thing with the Steelers. Everybody all year like, well, if Rodgers is going to play, he's going to play for the Steelers. And then is he going to play? And then there's all this silence, and then you don't know, and you don't know. And no one really knew until he said, okay, I'm signing with the Steelers. It's sort of like that. I mean, where, yeah, I mean, there's a reason to be optimistic. But until the deal gets done, unfortunately, we live in this era right now where it's about rev share and NIL and all that. The I's have to be dotted and the T's have to be crossed. That's what largely happens on these official visit weekends. That's a part of it too. So I'm optimistic, but I want everybody to notice we spent the first segment talking about how Steve Wiltfong, predicted J.J. Finch to Alabama, Tim Watson, Andrew Bone followed thereafter. Notice there is no Fong. There's no Fong bomb on C.D. Morgan and Crowell and Tank Jones. And yes, optimism leans. Hey, if he's signing with anybody, where do I think? But no Fong bombs, no predictions from that crew over at BOL yet. There's a reason for that, because it's not that close to being done. So let's see what happens this week. But I am optimistic, no doubt.
I will say that the predictions for CD Morgan are pretty high now. They went from, it was like 50-50 Bama Auburn to now it's 93-3. And then Florida's got 2%. Georgia's got less than 1%. Boy, how lazy do you have to be if you're predicting Georgia on this thing? Because they're not really even in the discussion, I wouldn't think. I mean, in fact, if I had to put a top 4 of them out there, I'd say Bama, Auburn, probably Florida, and Colorado, and then maybe Georgia. But, I mean, all you got to do to change your prediction is go ahead and just change it.
It's a good example of why it's not the prediction number or the number of predictions. It's who has predicted, because there are people more credible. Obviously, the BOL crew is very good, and Wiltfong's very good. But Wiltfong changes. I don't know why. I can't even remember which one, but heck, Wiltfong's changed a couple of predictions for guys that are in this Alabama class, where he had Utu. Yeah, he had Utu going to Washington at one point, and then changed that to Alabama.
I think he changed. Did he change Finch or no?
He did have Finch going to LSU at one point.
Yeah, I thought he did.
That's right. So, Wiltfong's approaches it a little different. I think he's willing to put himself out there a little bit and gamble and say, hey, I think this is what's going to happen, and I'll put my name behind it. Watts and Bone approach it a little differently. They want to be more certain before they get behind it.
Well, let me tell you why I think that is really quickly. That if you're Steve Wiltfong and you're not associated with one singular team, I think it's actually good for you, because people are like, hey, tell me what's going on, or that's wonderful. We got Fong bombed. Everybody believes in him and trusts him. For Watts and Bone, if they pick anybody other than Alabama, immediately they're going to get inundated with DMs and text, and not the good kind. They're going to get in it like, well, how did we screw this up? Well, he just chose another school. We didn't have anything to do with it. And see, it's not in their best interest to even put it out there until it's just about time to do, even if it's a Bama guy, in my opinion.
Like later this summer, well, I'm sure me and you will predict how the season will go. And if I don't predict Alabama to win the national championship, I'm going to get some hate mail over it. And
maybe from me.
If we don't, yeah, exactly. So it's like, if we don't predict they win the national championship, now all of a sudden, y'all don't even like the school you're covering.
What people don't know, well, I'm not going to get into it. All right.
It's like, who do I think is going to win the Super Bowl next year? Right now, I'd tell you the Detroit Lions. Right now, I think Detroit will win. Does that mean I hate the 31 other teams? Why do you hate the 31 other teams?
I'm here to tell you, Jimmy, it does mean that.
Okay.
I know. It does mean that.
Just learn something about myself.
But there will be less flipping at the end of this year. I think that's one thing. I've got some Auburn friends. They keep harping on, hey, we're going to flip this guy, no matter where they commit. I think there's going to be a lot less flipping at the end of this year, because deals are a little different, right?
The deals are different. I think rev share makes it different. I think rev share, where you're literally dealing with the university and the athletic department and not a collective. I think it's a little harder to walk out on that once you've negotiated that deal down to the dollar, and then you're going to walk. I think that's one reason, and I do think in this new world, the brand new world we just entered in, there'll be less flips. Now, whenever I make a prediction about, hey, this is how the new world is going to look, I remind myself that in 2021, when NIL came out of the blue and all of a sudden we're living in the brand new world of NIL, go back to the tape in 2021. I got a lot of that wrong. Who knew how that would? Even Nick Saban was wrong about a lot of the way NIL played out based on what he thought in 2021 too. I mean, when it's a new world, there's no soothsayers out there or prophets. You don't really know how it's going to play out. And everybody's kind of in that boat right now because this is an even newer world than the NIL world was.
Right. And it's going to be it's going to be pretty blatantly illegal if you come to a guy, and it was fine to go to somebody late in the game and say, look, after you lost out a prime target and you want to flip somebody, you can say, we'll give you twice what they're giving you.
Yep.
You're not going to be able to do that this time. Number one, because of revenue share, but number two, the only way you could do it is if you had legitimate NIL's sponsors ready to do it. And I would say on its face, that would be illegal if you went to him and said something like, we got a sponsor that's willing to pay you double what their sponsor's paying you. That seems like that's an immediate rig flag to me.
And all NIL deals have to be approved by NIL Go. All the prospects are now told this, and their families and their agents. All NIL deals have to be approved by NIL Go. So it has to be the first question. Hey, we're going to pay you X amount in NIL money. Is that deal approved by NIL Go? I mean, all these reasons are why I think there will be fewer flips. I think so. Watch that end up being completely wrong, and there's more flips. But no,
if you're
I'm
wrong,
pretty
confident. Put that on your highlight reel. Your
my low light reel. My low light reel. It gets longer all the time.
I found out what I was thinking about June 23rd. It's Roman Voss out of Minnesota who's committing Monday.
That is correct. Voss goes Monday. Boy, that's a real interesting. Speaking of NIL Go, because I think don't really have a good read here as to whether he stays home state or plays for Alabama, because this is the thing. Alabama would like to have this kid. Now, Max Suter is Alabama's probable number. That's the tight end Alabama's recruited the longest and the hardest. His announcements later this week. He's on campus right now. Max Suter is probably the show for Alabama tight end, but they would like to have Roman Voss. Roman Voss is good, but Minnesota must have Roman Voss. There's a difference between Alabama would like to have Roman Voss and Minnesota must have Roman Voss. So how is that going to work out rev share and NIL wise versus the we got to have him versus the we'd like to have him? And yes, Alabama's a bigger program with a higher platform and maybe playing in the playoff, and you're unlikely to see the Golden Gophers do things like that. But he's a must-have up there. So the money's going to be a little different. And let's see what factor. I don't think that there's a good read out there from Team Voss on is it going to be the money and the home state or the bigger platform like Alabama. That might be one where we'll see. Maybe there won't be much of a falling bomb at all. That just might be we just have to watch the announcement. And it's on Monday.
Good point. And what I would say, my counter to that, selling him, there's no way to beat. If he's tied into the state and wants to be a state hero, you're not beating that, okay? And he would be a Minnesota state hero, probably immediately be several Minnesotans' favorite player on the team because they just don't have they don't have as many dudes up there as we have down here, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But if I were Roman Voss, I take it back. If I were recruiting Roman Voss, my selling point would be, yes, you can go there and you can be the man of all men. You can be King Minnesota. But if you come here, you're going to have people that are going to take some pressure off of you. You're going to have people that you're going to be able to be developed without being rushed. You're not going to be targeted in a bad way, meaning if everybody's going to key in on you, you're probably going to be one of the best players on the team immediately. Down here, you're not. You're going to be able to grow, get better, and you're going to be surrounded by talent you'll have more of an opportunity to do one-on-one stuff. And I don't know. And not only that, I mean, you'll win a lot more. I mean, no offense to the Golden Gophers. I mean, that's just true.
Yeah. So, and again, I do think the money's going to be a factor. Not the money's going to be a factor in terms of, hey, that's the number one priority for us. It just makes more sense to me that there's going to be more money for him at Minnesota because he's a must-have. That's food. You must have food.
They might give him all of it.
You would like this cool jacket you saw at the department store. Is that where people shop for clothes? I don't know. You would like to have this cool jacket. You must have food. You must have food. I think Minnesota sees him as food. Alabama sees him as a cool jacket they would like to have. I mean, he's a guy that Minnesota and PJ Fleck to be as successful as they want to be, they must sign the number one player in Minnesota. I mean,
there's no doubt.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of when I was a senior in high school. And we always went to Mr. Gaddy's Pizza to eat. And in one sitting one time, I had an eating contest with my wife's brother, as a matter of fact. He was on the other side. And I ate 38 pieces of pizza at Mr. Gaddy's Pizza. I did.
You did?
I'm not proud of it. And
I'm impressed and worried.
I'm still having pizza phobia to this day. But by the way, he ate 44 pieces, and he's smaller than I am. It was wild. He sort of had mind over matter. He was stacking on top of one another and stuff like that. But somebody asked me, he said, why don't you just go to Pizza Hut and have like 10 pieces of good pizza? And I was like, well, at this stage of my life, I'm about quantity over quality. And that was true. And so that's my selling point to Roman Voss. Do you want 38 pieces of bad pizza, or do you want 10 pieces of really, really good pizza?
One final way to look at it is Minnesota looks at Voss the way Alabama looks at Crowell and C.D. Morgan and Tank Jones. He's there, Crowell, Morgan, and Tank Jones. When we know what kind of priority those kids are for Alabama. And boy, a lot of this is going to be determined in the next few days. Very exciting times at Locked On Bama.
And we got to get to break. But doesn't that tell you about, and again, no offense to Roman Voss at all, no offense to Minnesota at all. This is just a fact. If Roman Voss is their C.D. Morgan, that just tells you the tremendous difference in the two states high school football wise.
Oh, sure.
I mean, like, wow, and again, Roman Voss would even say, yeah, C.D. Morgan's a freak of nature. He could probably play pro in a year. And anyway, that's wild. Okay, let's talk about something that is Michael Southern's been anxious for me to get at. Alabama got a basketball commitment. And God help me, I have no idea how to pronounce this last name.
Well, you try it and I'll try it. Keeping in mind that I'm quite certain neither one of us is going to be right.
Oh, I'm going to be way off. Okay.
You give it a shot.
I'm just Collins, and then it's Onye Jaka, Onyejiaka. What were you going to say?
I'll say Onyejiaka. Onyejiaka.
That sounds
Onyejiaka. Onyejiaka. Collins Onyejiaka. I'm going with that.
Onyejiaka. Okay.
Onyejiaka.
I can roll with that. Okay.
Now, is that right? Almost certainly not. Here's the thing, though. At some point soon, we will know. And then we will let y'all know. But y'all at least know who we're talking about. Collins Onyejiaka, 6'10", 270, reclassified. When I say this is out of left field, I cannot explain enough. I mean, you had to be really tied in to probably, I'm not. You had to have some real inside sources here because he's a kid in the next class from Massachusetts. I wasn't sure Alabama was going to add a guy. I mean, again, you had to make the money work to add a 13th guy. What do we talk about? The fewer guys you have, the more you can pay them. So now you're adding a guy. The fact they can make the money work's impressive. The fact they could get a top 100 player to enter. He's going to be on the team this year, and he plays the same position that Noah Williamson and Aiden Sherrill play. So this is I think the thing to emphasize here is this is a developmental piece. This is a developmental piece. This isn't he's going to play 25 minutes this fall, or it's not thought to be. He's probably third in the center hierarchy behind Noah Williamson and Aiden Sherrill. And sure, at times, two of the three will be on the court at the same time at times, but Nate likes to play fast. And the more huge guys you have on the court, the less fast you can play. So I wouldn't assume you'll see a lot of that, but I'm impressed that they could get a top 100 player to reclassify, join now, and fit him in rev share and NIL wise, because he's clearly a good prospect. He's national top 100, and he's 6'10", 270.
He is
afraid.
a
He's an enormous human being.
beastly man. He's got a Stanley Roberts type feel to him to me, for those who want to go way back in the Wayback Machine.
I like
there
that.
was also a kid whose name escapes me every time. It escapes me all the time. But I actually played against him in like some kind of, I can't remember what, in Birmingham. The guy went to Tennessee. He sort of had a Shaquille O'Neal feel to him, and I just can't remember his name. It was from Francis Marion High School, and I always forget his name. But he was just, I remember standing next to him going, I didn't know they actually made people this big. I'd only seen him on TV. And then he's just dwarfing me. I mean, he was 7'1", maybe something like that. Anyway,
this kid's huge. Oliver Miller is another about that comp.
But
Oliver Miller is a great player, by the way, so that's not.
Yeah, but fair. He also was like more round than tall. Always thought of, but he was just so big you couldn't do anything about it. But this guy is an interior. That's it. This isn't one of those like Noah Williamson. Hey, he can pop out and shoot the three. This guy, I've watched some of his highlights as soon as he committed, and I don't think he took a shot less than 1 inch away from the rim.
Yeah, he's a presence. He's a presence. I mean, he'll be a shot blocker, a rebounder, a defensive presence that you just hope. When I say developmental, I'm really almost referring to offense. You just hope that you're getting him at a certain place offensively, and each year he gets a little better offensively. The whole time he's going to be helping you like crazy on the defensive end just because of the size and the presence. Offensively, you just hope that develops over the 4 or even 5 years he's at Alabama, because a redshirt wouldn't be crazy here.
No, it wouldn't be. I'm not going to predict it. I'll say this: Michael Southern was on top of this, by the way. He was sort of giving hints that this may happen. So props to him. But number two, I've seen some Cliff Amore comparisons. Look at the two. This guy is a long way from having Cliff Amore's definition.
Yeah, I don't like the companies because they're built so differently.
They are built pretty differently. Cliff Amore was just one giant muscle.
Yeah, he was also a bit of a pogo. He's a pogo stick, which is crazy for someone at his height. But Cliff Amore had some real, he could leap with the best of them.
I'll say this: I'd be willing to bet right now, the little highlights I've seen of this guy now, granted it's in high school, I think he's got better touch than Amore. Now, that's not exactly setting the bar super high. Amore didn't have great touch. I mean, Amore was like, I'm going to dunk it really hard every time, or I'm going to miss everything else. All right, so let's talk about one guy on your roster ranking countdown, and I think we've gotten to somebody pretty intriguing here, Jimmy.
Well, 42, Draylen Washington is the guy we're talking about. Draylen, who I predicted would have a huge spring and be sort of impactful. Wasn't. It was sort of a quiet spring, considering, I think, some opportunity there. Let's see if this fall proves that I was just a little too quick predicting it, and he is kind of impactful. I just don't think they bought in a senior transfer running back without assuming that he was going to play a fairly significant role. Now, of course, they would like to do running back by committee. They would like to play Jay Miller a lot. They'd like to see some of Rich Young. And then there's room for a third guy. Ends up Daniel Hill. That's a guy we're going to talk about pretty soon on the roster ranking. But Dre Washington, he goes, I know his name's Draylen Washington, by the way, he primarily goes by Dre Washington. Not the noisiest of springs. Underrated at what he did at Lafayette. I know a lot of people say, well, it's Louisiana and he didn't have huge numbers. Was running back by committee there, but his yard per carry number was consistently better than everybody else's. I mean, this is a guy that was physical for a guy that's not too big. It's got some burst for a guy who's physical. So I think he's going to help Alabama. We have him at 42 because he's not going to be a first-team guy. I don't even think he'll be a second-team back. I mean, I think that's going to be Rich Young. But I think he's a strong contender to be the third back. Last year, the third back was Richard Young. We saw quite a bit of him, right? So the third back's a guy you're going to see quite a bit of. Strong contender for third back. Probably not the leader in the clubhouse for it. That'll be the guy we talk about on tomorrow's show.
Okay, that's going to be great. And we will have a show tomorrow. We'll probably have a show in the morning. And then do you know what time JJ Finch's announcement is?
I don't know. We'll discuss whether we'll do one show after the announcement or not. We'll see.
Yeah. I like to talk about it out loud in front of everybody. So.
Well, sure. So they can really see the meetings. Y'all all come to our meeting. Y'all just were at the meeting just now.
You know where our meetings are. I text you 5 minutes before we do a podcast, right? That's our meeting.
That's the meeting.
All right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.